Public Works and Safety meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call please.
Mayor Sheets,
Present.
Greg Miller, Megan Sheets,
Present. Okay, we have the minutes for March 13th, and that was a regular meeting.
Yes, I move we accept or make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 13th Board of Works meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Claims approval.
And
I'm trying over there for this time.
yes, yes. And I reviewed the claims. I'll make a motion we approve the claims this evening.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Okay, claims are approved. Do we have any public comments? Department reports. We'll start with building services. Don Starr. You're first. You're not usually first.
I'm not, I usually wait for the police and everybody else, but that's okay, I'll take the first. The only thing that I have before you, members of the Board of Works, we have hired an independent contractor, Jason Passmore, a part-time building inspector. And I need to have that okayed by the Board of Works. I mean, I have to tell you that by ignorance or stupidity, we have been using Jason, but now I just want to make sure that we get it properly taken care
And he's an independent contractor. He's not
Yes.
an employee.
of. He's an independent.
And it's said in the contract $15 an hour as you need.
Yep.
And I'd like to make the motion we approve the independent contractor agreement with Jason Passmore as presented this evening.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Okay. that's
Thank you very
approved.
much.
Thank you. Okay. Parks Department. Jason, you give me a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Wanted to first bring up as we talked in the planning session about the gas line that needs to be repaired at the Parks Department. I've got some information back from Steve Haruska from Patton Construction in reference to this gas line. I guess I can bring it up, first of all, that the price to fix the gas line is $12,898.08. After talking with the mayor and everything, I wanted to make sure with the aquatic center coming in and starting to open at the end of May, that we don't have any issues with some kind of digging that needs to be done on the aquatic center property. Obviously, we don't want to be messing something up that's already there. After talking to Steve, the only thing that we'll need to do, and then talking to Christy too, that the sod will be put in here fairly soon by R.L. Turner, but we're hoping to maybe get in there with Patton Construction. So they may end up having to cut some small areas in the ground to gain access to the line, but didn't believe there's going to be any concrete that need to be cut. Because the line has to run from the aquatic center bathhouse all the way over to Parks Department. As we talked about in planning session, the line actually now runs underneath some buildings, which back in the day, probably 150 years ago when it was put in, that's probably was okay. But obviously now it's not. So we need to update that. And the way to do that is to, like I said, we're going to have to run it from the aquatic center bathhouse over to the Parks Department and to fix all the issues that we have with that old line. So Board of Works crew would like to go ahead and have Patton Construction go ahead and do that work. We had a bid from Jim's Heating and Cooling, but there was a lot of issues with it. They weren't apples to apples. And this year we'll completely reconstruct that line from the bathhouse to the park which needs to be done. If not, we're gonna end up with the same problem later on. So,
And if I'm not mistaken, or remember correctly, and in the least restrictive or constructive manner, or
right.
least disruptive manner.
Yes, I mean, yeah, we've already had to repair one part of that line, and we're still having some issues, obviously, and I just feel like this is the best way to go, to make sure everything's complete, everything's safe out there again, and we can move forward. So,
Alicia, because of the cost of that, we're okay just to go ahead and accept this, right?
on top of that, in the quote, we have a local 811 guy who works through the utility company that'll be coming out, taking care of the 811 and the locates for us. So there's no cost to the city there. Don't seem to see any issues with any kind of above ground resurface work that will need to be done. Maybe like I said, at the park and the aquatic center, but obviously we go ahead and sod back up after that. That won't be any cost to us as well. So just wanted to kind of clarify that. Maybe I can, if I was able to send that to you, you got a copy of that at the planning session or not. That's the quote.
Is this a copy or
You have it, yeah.
Okay, great.
But I've done work with Patton Construction throughout the entire Washington Avenue project. You know, they're the ones that redone all the gas lines, brought everything up to the surface of the road throughout the city. And Steve Rust is excellent to work with, and that was kind of contracted through Veteran or CenterPoint, whatever we want to call it now. But Steve was my contact to get things done. And so I'm happy to be able to work with him.
Thank you. And I think it's important that we get this fixed. The multiple small leaks that we might have out there. I'm anxious to get that fixed.
Let me, real quick, Mayor, I forgot to tell you, it's probably about 4 weeks when they can start.
Okay.
But it should be a fairly quick process once they get going, so it should be well done before, out of the aquatic center area before you open up.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Yes, I'll make the motion that we approve the estimate from Pat Construction to repair the gas line leak situation, and the price of that is $12,898.08.
And I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Okay, Jason, you go ahead and get a hold of them and I'm out here and get that fixed.
Will do. The next thing I have is a application and agreement for the Clinton County Boys and Girls Club. Susie Michael is requesting to use Prairie Creek Park Monday, April 17th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for their annual Boys Club meeting. About 40 to 50 in attendance for that. Using the event center, and I believe they'll probably bring in some food or beverage there for the people while they're having their meeting for lunch or whatever. So,
I'll make the motion to approve the Boys and Girls Club event at Prairie Creek Park on Monday, April 17th, and wait to see as well.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Okay, Jason, it's been approved.
thank you. The next thing is a City of Frankfurt public property use application and agreement, correct?
Yes.
All right. I guess this is our normal agreement we have for everyone that wants to attend or use Prairie Creek Park throughout the year. ADN worked hard on this, got it together. I have a yellow out area that says, please look at alcohol policy attached. Public use and form, I think we changed that around a little bit. Other than that, just need Board of Works approval to continue basically using the same agreement we've been using since Prairie Creek Park over. Okay, on up. This is where I need assistance.
She's dying to get up here.
So we're asking to change or to put the deadline for payment and application to be put into the actual application. Right now, it's stated that it's 4 weeks prior to the event, but since I've been with the park with the forums and such, I've noticed that we're running into a lot of problems with nobody turning in their applications and payments are not being sent in to that deadline. And so it's preventing folks from being able to use it that are ready to hand in the application and payment right then and there. So we've had a lot of cancellations of the people saying, oh, never mind, we didn't want it, or we forgot to let you know. So what we're asking is to make the deadline 2 weeks after confirmation of booking. So I confirm with them, this is when you want it, this is the time, I put their name and number in the book, and I let them know they have a 2-week deadline to get application, the application and payment in. I think it will save a lot of problems because noticing during graduation months, there are quite a few people who have rented it that I've been contacting and not gotten any response, and people are wanting those dates for those parties. So it came to light when I was going through that process. So.
What she said.
Thank you. Yes, it's time to do a course correction, Katie, and thanks for doing that. I'd like to make a motion, we approve the updated public property use and application agreement forms.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Okay, Katie Ann, that's been approved. Do you have other things for us? I was gonna ask you to give us an update on Saturday.
Yes, so Saturdays are community Easter egg hunt, so we're super excited. The team, along with some community members, that we've kind of come together and figured out some really cool things. So we've filled 10,000 Easter eggs with candy and toys and little necklaces and different things that kids would like. And then I've also secured a surprise. I'm not gonna let anybody know yet because it's pretty big. And we had a business in town donate the item and everything for it. So I'm excited to announce that online. We're gonna have a 3-legged race, a egg toss, and then a spoon relay. So we'll have all the eggs, the plastic eggs for everyone. So we're gonna fill the eggs with something for the egg toss to make them a little heavier for them. But all the age groups will be able to get all the eggs that they can. And then we have a golden egg. So inside the golden egg is a little ticket and it says, please redeem for your prize at the DJ booth. So I've gone to different places and gotten all kinds of goodies per age group in the baskets for them. And then, the Easter Bunny has been going around town and we've been making videos and and we're super excited about it. Unfortunately, it's not Jason because he's too tall. So it has to be a pretty short individual to be fit in there or else the suit becomes a little tight. So, but the person that's in it, they have been having a really fun time taking videos and posting pictures of me. So it's been exciting. We have 2 more videos that will go out, and then we've had 3 companies sponsor the Easter egg hunt. So we've had Coomer and Sons, NHK, and then we just got money from the Core Community Center. So we're super excited about it. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So it's at 11, and it should be done no later than like 12:45, because it only takes about 2 minutes for the kids to get all the eggs in each age group. And we'll go 1 age group at a time so that for families who have multiple children in different ages, they're able to watch their kids, all of them, participate. So
That's a good idea.
so
What a big undertaking, but what.
I know.
it's
Thank
been so
you
much
so
fun.
much.
Yeah,
That'll be a lot of fun.
we've been I've been figuring it out and getting all the egg stuffed and everything since the middle of February. So I started super early to get it done.
Thank you for all your
Yeah,
work on
no
it.
problem.
Yeah,
Thank
it'll
you.
be a
Thank
fun
you.
time.
Yes.
So great.
Situated here. Thanks to Alicia, I have a independent contractor agreement for the watering for Warren Lawn Landscape. He was awarded our contract to do our watering downtown for all the flowers the park department puts up. So I wanted to get that. I just actually got that the other day and I got forwarded on to you guys. So if you Want that? Okay, great. Great.
I sent it to Carol.
Okay, thank you.
I think she sent it back.
Perfect. Perfect. The board's okay with that contract? I'll get that done and I'll make sure that I get it to Jeremy.
Let's see the cost. Minutes here.
I think it was 17,000.
That's what I was saying, the 17.
I
And then
emailed
eight-
Carol
Okay, and then 8,750.
per,
Yeah.
each payment.
How much you have? Okay.
I'll make the motion, we approve the independent contractor agreement with Warren Lawn and Landscape for the watering of the flowers throughout the summer months.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Eden Sheets,
Aye.
Thank you, Alicia, for that.
absolutely.
Okay, do you want to get that signed and,
Yeah.
one, okay,
Yeah, whenever you guys, I
okay,
need to sign.
okay, thank
Is
you.
Jeremy working in that?
Tomorrow.
I'll just take that.
Okay, thank you.
One last thing for the Parks Department, just to let you know, we had a part-timer attorney's notice in today, left, for the time being, so we're gonna have a part-time position available. I reached out to a couple different people without having to put it back on the website. For now, we're waiting to see if we can get some information back from them, and, if need be, we'll put it back on the website to set an application, hold on there for now. I thought I'd share about that today too.
We'll probably get ready to get summer help here pretty
Yeah,
soon as
summer help
well.
probably coming as well. And then just one thing, I guess I saved this for the street report, if that's okay. I had lunch today at Arnie's and there was, Ed Moskovich, the owner of Arnie's, was asking about the up and coming demolition of Regions Bank. I think I saw where in his email where they'll be coming to the Board of Works for some approval on some things pretty soon in April, is what it said. You guys know about that or not, but anyway, I reached out to Josh Hewitts, talked to him a little bit about some of Ed's concerns, but I did want to bring that to the Board of Works and let you know there is some concerns here, and I'll share the email with you, with Ed. I don't think there's going to be any problem, but I thought you guys should know a little bit about some information.
And he's working with Don's office as well. I don't know how much Don's involved at this point. Have they gotten a permit or where are we still?
I just got an email today from Dell, requesting what type of information needs to be brought before the board. Basically, it's the closing of sidewalks, the Main Street's gonna get some, changing in the way you'll approach or drive through the area. We're gonna try to push it all the way over towards Veterans Park as much as possible. Any use of the downtown parking areas in front of the bank would have to come before you. Also, the parking areas on Main Street that surround the bank, all that has to come before you for permission of closure. I know they had talked about a lot of different things of doing it. One of the things on the sidewalk was not tearing them out, but covering them over with metal plates so as not to damage the sidewalks. They're talking about doing that. So we'll know more about it when they come before you at your next Board of Works.
Okay.
Thanks. I'll get you this email.
Did Ed want to talk to us or anything? Or?
Not right now.
Okay.
I mean, I was just there by myself.
Oh, okay.
We talked sometimes about different stuff. But, while I was there, I at least called Josh, and let him know that, and he's already emailed with Brewer as well.
Okay,
So everybody kind of knows what's going on, but obviously he's a business in town that we also need to take care of. So,
absolutely.
and then last thing I just want to let the board know, I'm on the 13th when I go on the radio, I'm putting together a presentation. I called Kevin Keith today to speak about trash. I know there's a lot of things going on in the community right now involving trash because we went to a new thing. So I called Kevin. I'm on that day anyway for usually a half hour in Park and Street both. And asked him if I can have a little more time to discuss trash and why we do things the way we do them, how we go about it, why we have to do some of the things we're doing as well to kind of educate people We do that quite a bit on the radio when I'm there. That's usually a hot topic. But I want to, I just feel like I have a responsibility to my department to bring that information up. So I'll be speaking with Kevin on the 15th of April. And that'll be just basically, just kind of as an information thing with people so they understand what our department does every day.
I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding on the garbage and how you're picking that trash up and when we use the automated trash trucks, when we don't use them for recycling. We right now don't have recycling toters, so we are not able to do that. I think there's another misunderstanding about the $2 fee that came up again. And I want people to understand this. I asked Jason to talk about that on the radio station because we passed that back in 2021. We didn't even have discussions of automated trash until probably May, June, at least of 2022. So they're not connected. We did use those figures as we figured out if we could afford to do the automated trash, but it had nothing to do with it. So there's just so much going on that is not the truth about it. People don't understand it. I think it's because it's new and people just need a better understanding.
I sit down with the guys for about an hour a day. I brought in 2 experienced drivers that drive the automated trucks, and I brought in 3 individuals that fill in on the rear load, that drive the rear load. So we can get, and I'm gonna have Christina make me up a spreadsheet for each individual quadrant of the city, because we got some door knocking to do. But one of the things I want to get across is if people refuse, there's nothing I can do about it. So I want people to understand what's going on there. Because we take a lot of unnecessary things at the department, and we've been working on this for 6 months. But 6 months is not very long. When you start something new that's that large, it's that big. So I wanted to get their opinion on some things. So as things start to warm up, we can start knocking on doors, hopefully get people to move trash from one place to another, so we can get off some of that rear load stuff. But it's going to take some time. But I think it's just, Kevin's always been good, and Ken as well as Brett and times about getting information out for me. And I just think we need to kind of a half hour, 15 minutes just isn't enough sometimes. So I just want to make sure.
Well, like you said, I don't think everybody understands when they're on the rear load trucks. They're always going to be on Wednesday. They're going to be back there because it's recycling. Also, there's some areas in Frankfurt, as Jason said, where we have still not got that figured out how to get the people to put their trash where they can put it so we can use automated trash. So on those days, we have to take out the rear loads as well.
I don't understand when, it's understanding why.
Yeah.
It's
It's really hard when you make a change like this, but we're getting there. We've made a lot of progress.
But I know what you guys end up hearing about on the radio and things without.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that your department does for us. Okay, community development, Kimberly.
Alright. So I have presented you, should be at your seat, what I hope to be the final drawing for the Sapphire Bay logo, which is the waves with the diamond with the sun. So with your approval, I would like to have this approved and passed so we can start doing some fun things with the Sapphire Bay.
Kimberly had a variety of designs for us to look through at our planning session last week. It was fun to go through that and tweak ideas and have meeting of the minds. And although I'm no graphic artist, I am just thrilled with how this looks. Kimberly, thank you very much. So I'd like to offer a motion to approve the submitted logo for Sapphire Bay.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye. Let the marketing begin, right?
The fun
I'm
stuff.
excited. We're ready to go. Yes.
One step closer to opening.
Yes.
Opening the Sapphire Bay. Alicia, how do you want me to present the schedule for pricing? Does it need to be each individual one or all together?
I think we can just do it all together as the proposed schedule unless we want to make changes to it. And then what we can do is we can just approve it as revised.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can just, if you want to go through all of them, but I think we can approve it all.
All at once, okay, perfect, I just wanted to touch bases with that. So the proposal for the Sapphire Bay, previously CPA Park Aquatic Center, pricing. We had talked about this during the planning session, but obviously I want to bring it to the board today. Day passes, this would be for 2 years old and under would be free. Those above that would be $7 a day. Individual season passes, $75. That would be a one-time cost and you can go as many times as you want. Family season passes, $250 for a family up to 5, and then $25 for each individual after that 5th family member. Morning water walking daily pass. I do want to say this would just be Monday through Friday only, and it is $3 per day. Cabana rentals for 4 hours or a half a day is $50, and then for a full day would be $75. We have 9 of those, so just as a reference. And then I just wanted to mention where we've kind of come up with some of these prices. Obviously, we've talked about this a lot and kind of went over it, but I compared it to Murphy's Water Park, which was very similar to ours. Lebanon, Lafayette, which we know is a lot larger facility, and then Kokomo. So just kind of giving where we compared locally, and then hopefully the same type of demographic as Frankfort or Clinton County, and then the same type of the size of the center. So, happy to answer any questions.
I just want to say I'm excited about the water walking. I've had several requests from community members. And so this year we're going to try it for 1 hour in the morning before the pool opens at $3 for each day that they come in.
And for water walking, it's you walk the reverse way of the lazy river, so you walk towards the current instead of with the current. So I had to figure that out when everyone first started talking about it. So
And I'm today years old, just realizing how that works, so.
yeah, you walk the opposite direction.
Okay, there we go. You ready for yours? Okay. I'd like to propose a motion that we approve the pricing for Sapphire Bay as presented by Community Director Kimberly Black.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, Kimberly, we're excited now. Everybody that has questions for you, you can give them the answers. So.
Yes, we're still working on the pool parties.
Yes.
And how we want to kind of work with that. I think we need a policy in place probably before we start saying what the price is. So that'll be coming up in the near future for pool parties and birthday parties and that fun jazz. So the last thing I had, before I wrap up, Alicia sent out the naming rights agreement.
Late, I sent it out late, it was like 4:30.
Yes. Yes, so we can table this till next time, it's completely up to you guys. This is for the donation from NHK Seeking of America, with the pool. Obviously, we'll be sending it to their legal team, or they'll probably be sending it to their legal team as well. This is very similar to the naming rights that we had at Great Creek Park, for some of the signage that you see around.
I prepared doc for motion this evening.
Okay.
Okay, as you said, Kimberly, President has been set for the naming rights. It's received review of our city council. So I would like to make the motion, we approve the naming rights for the generous opportunity that's coming from NHK and approve this document this evening.
Second that motion.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Megan Sheets. Aye.
And a big thank you to NHK.
Yes.
This is going to be amazing. It's going to help us out a lot on the aquatic center. And I always love to see people involved in our community projects. So thank you to them.
Thank you to Alicia for putting this all together. We've done this for quite a while, making sure we have the right verbiage and all that in there, so. Without you, I would have been lost.
Glad to help.
That's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Alicia, I think you're next.
Okay, so, we have on my agenda, landscaping bids that were tabled last time. I don't know if you wanna do anything with that, or if you wanna continue to have them tabled. But we will need to do an agreement with whichever company is selected.
One thing was noticed, and it didn't get noticed, or I didn't notice it before, last time we tabled, there was no in the invitation for quotes, a piece about insurance.
Right.
So is that a potential concern? Should we?
That's something we
Okay.
typically include in the agreement, and then they're required to meet that obligation once we have that in the agreement. And that's something that we can negotiate with them depending on, what insurance needs we feel like we need and whether or not they can meet them. So that's typically not something we include in the bidding process, but it does need addressed, absolutely. It's just
And it can be via the agreement.
correct, and that's what we did in the, independent contractor agreement for the water. Same thing, there was insurance requirements there.
And then could you review for us again our obligation
Sure.
to go with the lowest bid? We should
Sure.
absolutely have to, and why?
So, what we are required to do by law is we're supposed to go with the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. So it's not necessarily just the lowest bid, it is the bid that meets all of the requirements that we have set out. That's what responsive means. So it's going to address all of the areas that we wanted, all of the different points on our invitation for quotes. You know, for example, if they weren't going to do season-long mowing and they were just gonna do mowing for 3 mows or something like that, that wouldn't be responsive to our bid. So they have to meet all of those things that we had in the bid, and then they also have to meet it in the format that we requested. In these particular bids, we didn't have a strict format, but for some of our bigger projects, they have to meet, you know, the exact formatting or else they're not going to be considered. So that's responsive. And then responsible means that they are capable and able to do the job and to do the job well. So if we have reason to believe, this has come up a number of times with contractors where we have bigger projects and we will get responses to bids, and then we will get references. Some of the references come back with really poor reviews because they didn't follow whatever procedures, or they weren't following OSHA, or whatever the rules, whatever the case may be. Those bidders are sometimes deemed non-responsible because they're not able to actually perform the work the way that we want it to be done appropriately and do it well. And so that is what constitutes a responsible and responsive bidder. And so our obligation is to make the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the lowest, but unless we have some reason or some rationale that a bidder wouldn't be responsive or responsible, then it would be the lowest.
Okay. And would the, no matter who is selected, can the agreement also entail, for lack of a better word, repercussions or action, should they not
Absolutely.
conform to the agreement?
Yeah, so what we typically do is we have people send in their quotes and then we draft the agreement. So if we wanted to have liquidated damages for not mowing at appropriate times, or, you know, they don't actually do something, so they reimburse us for a certain price, we can put in some damages language, whatever the board would like to see, we can include that. And then it would be up to them to kind of negotiate that agreement with the Board of Works until we found a mutual agreement. And if we weren't able to find a new mutual agreement, then that bidder would no longer be a responsive and responsible bidder because we weren't able to reach all of the things that we required.
Well, as a responsible and responsive Board of Works member, I will say that the low bid was alarmingly low, but I have no reason to believe that they won't perform as promised in the scope of work. With the season that's approaching, I think we do have to not table it further and proceed with awarding the bid. As long as we have an airtight agreement to go along with that.
Sure.
And so with that being said, our low bid was a new entity within the community by the name of Platinum Landscapes. And so I'll make the motion, we award that bid. Their amount was $2,645.
$2,645.
Yes.
And then Megan, I will reach out to you and discuss some of the language that, I'll give you some proposed language on tightening up our agreement to ensure, cooperation and that they're doing all of the things that they want, and then we can kind of work on that before we get it for the Board of Works for the approval of the agreement.
And that would be great, there's one involved, pretty much.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Got that taken care of.
Okay, next thing that I've got on the agenda, we approved the contract for the watering. So, Jason and I have been working on getting requests for proposals for the pickleball courts and the tennis courts at TPA Park. And so what we are trying to do, I've got 2 different requests for proposals, which I think you should have. I sent them to Carol, so, perfect. So, those requests for proposals, the first one is for painting the striping on the tennis court and also on the pickleball courts. And then the second one is for the fencing that's going to surround the courts and also a fence, a line of fence in the middle of the pickleball court to kind of separate that. And so Jason and I worked on these and he got me all of the specs for that. And then this would need to be published and we would get bids or proposals on April 10th at the Board of Works meeting. So we can get started on that.
I'll make motions separately for those, remaining here.
Okay.
I'll make the motion for the request for proposal for TPA tennis pickleball fencing.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets. Aye. Megan Sheets. Aye.
And I will make the motion of the request for proposal for TPA tennis pickleball courts line striping.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets. Aye. Megan Sheets. Aye.
Okay, I will get those published in the paper.
Okay, thank you.
And that was all I had, I believe.
Jason, did you know anything on the pickleball courts or tennis?
Not really, I appreciate your listening work. We went back and forth, Wednesday or Thursday.
A couple of times,
Got it
yeah.
all done, but yeah, pretty soon you'll start to see the base and everything's down for the pickleball courts at TPA Park. And they'll start putting in, or be ready for the base anyway. Be ready for the base asphalt and the intermediate, and as the weather warms up, has to be a certain temperature. A little different than paving a roof versus paving and asphalting a pickleball or tennis court. But and they'll, after they finish the base, when the weather warms up, then they'll put the final surface on. So whoever gets these bids can start working on it. Lights are all in and done there, so that's all ready. And other than that, we'll start looking at Northern Park as we move forward
Okay,
in the next month or so.
thank you, Jason. Don, did you have something?
I did, one thing I forgot, I wanted to bring it to your attention, I just thought about it, and that is, we've been working for a short period of time to get the house tore down on South Harrison Street. I think it's 303. It's a house that caught fire a couple of years ago, and it has a lot of rubbish around the outside. Well, that's coming down somewhere in the next 10 to 14 days. Compost will be bringing that down and cleaning the property up and putting it back. The challenge for the new owner is that is in a historic district. I didn't go to them to get permission to tear it down because it needs to come down. And but anything that goes back on the house will have to go in a historic manner. So that'll be a little challenge for the new owner. But I just wanted you to know that house will be coming down in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other new business? Okay, new business. Did you have a conflict of interest? I do good. Sure. Okay. We have one conflict of interest and it is for Michaela Passmore. She's admin assistant in building services. And this is for the contract that we signed tonight with her dad. There's a conflict of interest because of their relationships, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the conflict of interest form submitted by Michaela Passmore.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
This is the one you're supposed to sign. Do you have one? Okay. Okay, anybody have anything else? Then we adjourn. Okay, second that. Okay, thank you everyone for coming out. No city council.